الحمد لله رب العالمين صلى الله وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما كثيرا ثم أما بعد. How many of you had an encounter when you were coming to Salat al-Fajr or Salat al-Isha? Kind of got a scary moment during the darkness of the night, specifically in the winter, when it's deeply dark. You're driving in the car, basically, all of a sudden someone jumps in front of you, maybe jogging or walking or something like that, right? It's a scary moment. Sometimes you'll be walking to the masjid, all of a sudden someone is walking from the opposite side. What happens here? Your adrenaline starts kicking in, right? Because you don't know if it's going to be safe or not. SubhanAllah, a lot of emotions go there. What makes it easy for people to come to Salat al-Fajr and Salat al-Isha, even though they know it might be dangerous? And even Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala commands us to seek refuge with Him from what? قُلْ أَعُوذُ بِرَبِّ الْفَلَقِ مِنْ شَرِّ مَا خَلَقَ وَمِنْ شَرِّ غَاسِقٍ إِذَا وَقَبَ وَمِنْ شَرِّ النَّفَّاثَاتِ فِي الْعُقَدِ وَمِنْ شَرِّ حَاسِدٍ إِذَا حَسَدَ. So Allah is asking us to seek refuge also from قُلْ أَعُوذُ بِرَبِّ الْفَلَقِ, means and al-ghasaq, al-ghalas, and ghasaq, basically the darkness of the Fajr and the darkness of the night. So what makes it easy for people to come to Salat al-Fajr and Salat al-Isha? There is no doubt knowing the reward for what they're doing. So do you guys know what the reward for those who come during the darkness of the night? It's the opposite of it. That's the light that Allah promised. In this hadith, عن بريدة رضي الله عنه عن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم قال: بشر المشائين في الظلم إلى المساجد بالنور التام يوم القيامة. بشر المشائين بالظلم إلى المساجد بالنور التام يوم القيامة. رواه أبو داود والترمذي. In this hadith, the Messenger of Allah صلى الله عليه وسلم says, قال صلى الله عليه وسلم, convey glad tidings to those who walk to the masjid or to the masajid in the darkness. And when you say in the darkness, what salawat are we talking about? Fajr and Isha. Primarily it's Fajr and Isha. Maghrib might be on your way back, right? But not when you go to the masjid. It's still a little bit, there's light. So it's Fajr and Isha. The Messenger of Allah, he says, give them the good news. Give for those who walk to the masajid for Fajr or for Isha. That of course includes in our time coming in any way that is possible, like driving, for example. In any way that is possible. The Prophet says, the good news for you, that you will be given an-nur al-tam yawm al-qiyamah, for they will be given full light on the day of resurrection, the day of judgment. So what does that mean? Does it mean that there will be darkness on the day of judgment? Then the Prophet ﷺ said that on the day of judgment, ash-shams, the sun will be as close as 1 mile almost, depending on how do you interpret the meaning of the word mile. How close or how far that would be from the heads of the people. It will be shining, right? There will be light. Where is that darkness on that day? Do you guys know what that darkness is? Is it on the Sirat or before the Sirat?
Before.
It's right before the Sirat. That is called Al-Qantara. That Qantara is like a tunnel, or like a bridge or a tunnel, in which the people, those who now, they're supposed to be heading towards Al-Jannah, they have to go through. And it was mentioned in Surah Al-Hadid and other surahs as well, Surah Al-Tahrim. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned that Allah Azza wa Jal, يَوْمَ تَرَى الْمُؤْمِنُونَ وَالْمُؤْمِنَاتِ يَسْعَى نُورُهُمْ بَيْنَ أَيْدِيهِمْ وَبِأَيْمَانِهِمْ. That the believers, men and women, on the day of judgment, they will be walking, their light will be shining in front of them and in their right hands. Just like a torch, just basically seeing in front of them. So the Prophet ﷺ in the Hadith Act was explained the interpretation of this ayah as well. People will be given light on the day of judgment to go through this tunnel based on their deeds, good deeds. So those who, mashallah, they had super good deeds, what would they have, Jama'ah? Powerful lights, right? They will be powerful light. They will go they see no obstacle because everything is shining in front of them. And just go. Other people, the Prophet ﷺ described, will be having such like the light basically as little as torch even. And then the least, the Prophet ﷺ mentioned that people will have the light just shining from their toes, which means they only will be able to see what? Just the next step, that's all. So they'll be going one step at a time. What does that mean? It means those millions of people as they're going towards Al-Jannah, before they get to the Sirat, they will be classified and they will be separated based on their speed, right? The speed of light now. So those who have great light, they will go faster because they can see further in the distance. Those who have less light, they will barely see in front of them. And those who have barely can see the next step, they will go very slow. So they will differentiate between these people, and there will be one group of people who will be deprived of that privilege of light. Who those people are, Jama'ah? Al-Munafiqun, the hypocrites. يُخَادِعُونَ اللَّهِ وَهُوَ خَادِعُونَ. That they think that they're deceiving Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It is Allah who's deceiving them. How is that? On the day of judgment, in the tafsir of this ayah, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will allow the munafiqeen to stay being associated with the believers. And Yawm al-Qiyamah, different stations. So those people, they think, oh, so no one talked to them, so that means, oh, subhanAllah, that's good, that's mean we're going to be safe. Just like someone wants to go to a theme park, for example, and you just go with the crowd, you think that no one is watching, no one is seeing, and there's a surveillance camera there. Just right before you get to the gate, what do they say? Excuse me, can I see your hand? Do you have the ticket, this and that and so on? Just at the last minute. How depressing that is, just at the last minute. And that's exactly what's going to happen to them. When they get to that point, they see everybody's going ahead of them. They are left behind in full darkness. And that's when they start asking, wait for us so we can take some of the light, that we walk in the light that you have. Then they will hear the voice telling them, irji'u, go back, فَالْتَمِسُوا نُورًا, go and get some light and come back again. So when they go back, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will command that the barrier will be built. A wall will be built between them and those who went ahead of them, and they will be taken to Jahannam from that space. That's when they realize the greatest deceit. And that's, as you can see, just right there, they almost arrived to Jannah. And then they will be taken out to Jannah, sallallahu alaihi. This is when the hadith Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that بَشِّرِ الْمَشَّائِينَ فِي الظُّلَمِ إِلَى الْمَسَاجِدِ بِالنُّورِ التَّامِ يَوْمَ القِّيَامَةِ. Give those who go to the masjid for Fajr and Isha, give them the good news that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is preparing light for them on the day of judgment, when there will be no light but the light that's from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala rizquna and give us all this light on the day of judgment. SubhanAllah, ironies of, when I started with this, mentioning how dangerous sometimes it can be to go to Salat al-Fajr and Salat al-Isha. Alhamdulillah, we live in ni'mah, ya jama'ah. Wallah, you live in ni'mah of peace and safety. You go out, you walk, you jog, you even you bike all the way to the masjid, and alhamdulillah, you're safe. There are other places in the world, even Muslim countries, people cannot walk out of their door to the masjid without being harassed or even being taken advantage of, subhanAllah. And sometimes, specifically in war zones, still people would go to the masjid. Now I remember personally, which is a story I would like to share with you. Back in 1991, during the last few days of the war in Kuwait, when the liberation war basically of Kuwait, eventually I was there, still there in the country. The power was out for a few days already actually. The entire country was in darkness. When the sun goes down, everything is dark, khalas, nothing. We stayed there for a few days, if not even a few weeks before, 4 months before they were able to restore the whole power thing and so on. Eventually, I remember that day, the day of the liberation basically, when the war was almost officially over. I remember it was Fajr time, so I woke up. And now, ironically, it sounded different because it was extremely quiet. The night was extremely quiet. Second, it was very peaceful. It was very, very peaceful, subhanAllah. But it was extremely, extremely dark, unusual darkness. I haven't really witnessed that before. And the air smelled differently. It smelled bad. We don't know what. It smelled like kerosene. But it smelled bad. But it was extremely, extremely dark. So as I was walking out at the door, my neighbor came out, so we started walking together. SubhanAllah, we could not even see in front of us. That's unusual, even though it's dark and there is no electricity in the streets and anywhere. But the days before we were still able to see. But this time, as we were walking, we were kind of getting scared a little bit. It's too quiet, it's too serene, too peaceful, unusual feeling. And it was completely dark in front of us. We couldn't see the way. Suddenly, and we didn't have any torch in our hands, nothing. Because the batteries were dead a long time ago, from many weeks, if not months already. So it's only just, if you will have anything in your hand, it has to be a candle. So as we're walking into the street, we see a bus, suddenly a bus emerges in the middle of the street. A huge bus sitting in the middle of the street. And it was dead. No one isn't there, no movement, nothing. What is it doing in the middle of the street? You don't know. It's too dark to even to recognize what's going on. So we went to the masjid again, so scared, wallahi, until we got into the musalla. Alhamdulillah, we were about maybe 10, 15 people just in the masjid. Completely dark, only 2 candles lit in the masjid. Huge masjid, but just 2 candles, just barely to see the place where you're going to be lining up for salah. We finished salah, just like at the time of the Prophet ﷺ. You don't see the faces, you only hear their voices saying subhanallah, alhamdulillah. You hear their breaths, but you can't see their faces. Then someone said, the war is over. Basically, they said the war is over, Saddam withdrew his army. And they were kind of debate if it's true or not, is that true or not. SubhanAllah, we waited there until shuruq, the time for the sunrise. But the sun was not coming out. It was supposed to be sunrise, but the sun was not coming out at the time when it's supposed to be sunrise. Even though it started getting brighter, but it's not as it's supposed to be. The sun is supposed to be already up, but you can't see the bright light of the sun. So we went outside the masjid to realize that this whole darkness that we were actually walking through was nothing but dark smoke cloud from the burning oil fields. By the time we got home, all our clothes, we used to wear the white thobes, all the clothes were all stained with oil. Can you imagine you were walking in oil, just like rain, and just breathing it? You go to make wudu, Allahu Akbar, everything comes out dark. It was a very hazardous situation, and you could kill yourself. You could die in this, subhanAllah. We realized afterwards that this bus that was in the middle of the street, some of Iraqi soldiers, they were trying to escape and go back to Iraq as quick as possible, and it was full with a lot of things, TVs and electronics and food and whatever. They are unable to continue because they're out of gas. And subhanAllah, it was a chaotic situation. But the point is, the darkness of the night is definitely can be really dangerous. You don't know where the danger comes from. The danger, wallahi, can be even in the air that you breathe, without even noticing that. That's why the Prophet ﷺ promises those who walk during the night, the darkness of the night for Fajr and Isha, with the perfect light on the Day of Judgment. Wallahu ta'ala. Any questions? Yes.
In the Day of Judgment, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will judge the people, and He will discuss with the people, their deeds.
No.
And then من نوقش حسابه فقد هلك ومن نوقش الحساب
فقد
عذب.
No.
At that time, this is before the Sirat.
Yes, of course.
So even though the munafiqeen, at that time they will know that where they're going to go. Is it right?
Not necessarily. Not necessarily. The question is about, on the Day of Judgment, the Prophet ﷺ says, مَنْ نُقِشِ الْحِسَابَ عُذِّبْ. So whoever is going to be questioned, they're going to definitely receive punishment. They're going to definitely receive punishment. So that doesn't mean that the munafiqeen at that point, they will know exactly where they're going. I would say no, because the hisab is different degrees. Some of the hisabs, some people, Allah will not talk to them at all, as He mentioned in the Quran. لَا يُكَلِّمُهُمُ اللَّهُ وَلَا يَنْظُرُ إِلَيْهِمْ. He will not look at them, He will not speak to them, so they will be completely banned. Other people will be questioned. Other people will be just, everything will be sealed, their mouths and everything, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will just show them their records. This is what you've done. So eventually they know that they're doomed. So the different categories. So the munafiqeen will have one of these different categories of hisab. How their hisab is going to look like, Allahu a'lam. Would Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, would Allah azza wa jal leave them alone at that time, so they could just feel good about themselves? Like they were feeling that they were good in this dunya, deceiving the believers. Allah will make them feel the same thing there. You know what? We leave them alone, so they think that, so no one spoke to us, no one is judging us, no one is questioning us, so that we're good. So they keep, having these great hopes. They have this expectations to be saved, and then eventually when they supposed to be among the winners, that's when they'll be taken away. Again, that's the greatest loss. When they have such a great anticipation for the reward, and then they'll be shown that you will not, all of this was a deceit, now you go to Jahannam. So it could be at one point they have their own degree of hisab. Wallahu a'lam. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك.